Welcome to the many interpretations of Albertosaurus. Albertosaurus was a tyrannosaurid that lived in the late Cretaceous around 71 million years ago in what is now North America, mostly Canada, obviously, hence the name Albertosaurus. And yet another tyrannosaurid to add to the list, and I'm pretty excited about this one. So I don't really have anything else to say beforehand, so without further ado, let's get right into it. We'll go ahead and start off with Dink the Little Dinosaur. I haven't talked about this one in forever. Of course, I never even saw the show, so I don't know too much about it. But here's what the Albertosaurus looks like. You have something that has like more of a bulky body and a relatively small head, which is probably pretty fitting for an animal like Albertosaurus. Pronounced eyebrow ridges and a slim snout, which that's actually decently accurate, not quite like as rectangular as it is here, but hey, it's a stylized show. It also does like have an upright stance, which of course is very different from pretty much every single theropod, so that's fun. But not a bad start, you know, it's always fun to get off, like start off with stylized versions. But then after that, we go into prehistoric park. And this one is pretty much just the T-Rex from the same show with a different coloration. They didn't really make a new model for Albertosaurus. I mean, maybe I could be wrong about this, but maybe the eyebrows are a little bit more pronounced. Albertosaurus did have pretty pronounced like crests set right in front of the eyes. Can't really see that here, but you know, for the most part, this is just the T-Rex from this show. But with that being said, I would say that this model is a little bit closer to being accurate to Albertosaurus than it is to being accurate to Tyrannosaurus Rex. T-Rex was a very bulky animal. Albertosaurus was relatively small, like it was smaller than T-Rex at only like 8 to 9 meters in length with a weight of around 2.9 tons. So of course it was smaller than T-Rex, and it was also a lot more lightly built. It was like slimmer, it was a lot more thin, it had longer legs, and it was more so built for speed. The prehistoric park version of the animal, like the version that version of T-Rex certainly looks a lot more like that. So I feel like this model fits Albertosaurus more than it fits Tyrannosaurus. Still not a great Albertosaurus model though. It's also in the wrong place. Albertosaurus lived a lot more up north in Canada, whereas this episode, I believe it was stated to take place more so around Texas, which is a lot more down south in the United States. So that's, of course, a difference right there. But we'll go ahead and move on to Jurassic Fight Club, where we actually get a pretty decent model right here. The head looks a lot like an Albertosaurus head in the fact that it's not nearly as large as a Tyrannosaurus head. It's a lot more slim in the snout, like they have thinner snouts. And that pronounced crest is also present. That's, you know, right in front of the eyes. It does also have the more slender build and these long legs. You know, it does look like an animal that's built for speed. However, when you get like close-up shots of it, you see that it has like a slit eye pupil, which just makes it makes it look like a snake to me. I don't know what it is. I think that's that mixed in with the colors, which are a lot more green and just seemingly more snake-like, makes it look more like a snake. But it's a good design, despite the fact that it's breaking its wrists and maybe a tad bit shrink wrapped. It's a decent design. Like I really don't hate it. We also have Dinosaur King. This also looks pretty decent as well. Like the head looks pretty spot on. That does look like an Albertosaurus head. The body looks pretty good as well, and the colors are really fun. They're very vibrant and they really do stick out. So yeah, I like this one too. Land Before Time, all of their theropods are pretty similar to each other. They're all like they have very squared snouts and bulky bodies. The Albertosaurus is no exception. At the very least, when you type in the Land Before Time Albertosaurus, this is the fellow that shows up. So yeah, we're just saying that that's what the Albertosaurus is in universe. Again, very different from its real life counterpart, and it looks a lot more like the T-Rex in universe, and the Allosaurus in universe, and the Giganotosaurus in universe, at least in terms of their skull shape. Most of the theropods in this show or in this series are pretty similar to one another, which is fine. That's, you know, that's just the Land Before Time style. And again, like Land Before Time style, it kind of like emulates older dinosaur reconstructions. So it also has more of a kangaroo stance and, you know, arms that are breaking and all that very fun stuff, you know. So let's go ahead and move on. There's also Prehistoric that has this fella right here. That also looks really good. It looks a lot like an Albertosaurus head. Maybe the crests and like maybe the like the little hornlets or the little they have little bumps on their snout. I don't think I mentioned that too or yet, but Albertosaurus did have these bumps that were going down their nares, like these little tiny horns or just this very interesting structure. Don't really see that too much here. And the crests that are set right before the eyes are, of course, not really present here. But the shape of it looks pretty good, and I do like the colors as well. March of the Dinosaurs. So we actually get two Tyrannosaurs in this. We get the Albertosaurus, but we also get Gorgosaurus. I feel like this is a good place to bring this up, but it's not going to be the first time I bring it up. I might like talk about it briefly with Walking with Dinosaurs, but Albertosaurus and Gorgosaurus are pretty similar to each other skeletally. There are some differences, like for one, I think the Albertosaurus does have longer legs than Gorgosaurus, but overall they look pretty similar to each other. And you can tell in this documentary as the Gorgosaurus that's, hanging out back where the snow is, still looks pretty similar to the Albertosaurus that's going after the Edmontosaurus herd. There are some scientists who do believe that Gorgosaurus is simply just or Gorgosaurus libratus is another species of Albertosaurus. Because as of right now, we only have like one official species of Albertosaurus, that being Albertosaurus sarcophagus. So if it like ends up being true one day that Gorgosaurus libratus is another species of Albertosaurus, it would be known as Albertosaurus libratus. It would just be a junior synonym to Albertosaurus. I figured I'd bring that up because, again, they are very similar skeletally to each other. I won't be talking about Gorgosaurus depictions here. We're sticking to the ones that are named Albertosaurus, but I figured I'd bring that up because it's always interesting stuff, synonyms and taxonomic things and identification and naming and taxonomy, all that good stuff. It's fun. Anyway, this Albertosaurus, the skull shape looks good. I'll start off by saying that the skull shape looks good. The crest or horn that it has right in front of the eyes, those look really good. It kind of has a little bit more of like a pronounced nasal portion, but it is pretty bulky. That's like the biggest thing. As I mentioned before, Albertosaurus was a lot more lightly built. And this is something that looks a lot more like Tyrannosaurus rex in the way and how bulky it is. And despite the fact that it's bulky, it's actually incredibly athletic as it's able to jump very high into the air to ambush Edmontosauruses. It's so goofy. It's so goofy. I had to mention that. I don't know why. It's such a fun animation thing where it's just like you just see this multi-ton theropod just pull off like an amazing acrobatic feat that a lot of humans wouldn't even be able to do. And it was crazy. It's crazy stuff, man. The Mesozoic was built different. Obviously, they probably wouldn't have been able to do that, but I wanted to mention that. The sparse feathers are also very cool. I like how they mostly cover the back of the animal. They might not have been this thick. They might have been a lot more, again, sparse and hair-like, but still, they look pretty cool right here. We'll go ahead and move on from that and go on to Primeval. New World. This is the rebooted show. This looks pretty good. I really like the way that this fella looks. It is a little bit more gnarly to kind of like fit that primeval style, but skeletally speaking and just the whole shape of it looks good. It has those crests. It has the shape of the snout. The body looks pretty good, and it seems like it's relatively thin and gracile compared to other Tyrannosaurids. So really not a lot of room to nitpick, so to speak. I quite like it. There is also Dino Dan that gives us one with really cool blue colors, like different shades of blue with some yellow striping. The skull looks good, and the whole body shape looks pretty good as well. And there's not much else I can add to this one. It might be a little bit different in the skull, but all things considered, it's not too far off. And then we finally get to Walking with Dinosaurs, which did just come out this year. Has a very good Albertosaurus depictions. These are probably my favorites. Of course, they're the most recent, and so they are basically the most up-to-date. But the skull looks great, and look, you can really see that structure that is present on the nasal portion of the skull. Those crests or horns, whatever you want to call them, they are very much pronounced right here. The colors are also really cool. Some of them have like purple coloration on the head, while others have more of like a blue coloration. They have sparse hair-like feathers that only cover their backs. Their arms look really good. Their bodies look really good, and they look like they are built for speed. I love them. They look so good. And I don't know if I'm like looking at this wrong, but it kind of looks like they're implementing the new idea that theropods had cheeks instead of that sort of flap of skin that we've always seen in older depictions, because we don't really see that here. Instead, you see the skin just completely covering it right there, which is pretty cool to see. And also in this documentary, we do get to see Gorgosaurus, which basically, for the most part, has the same model. And as I said, Gorgosaurus and Albertosaurus are very, very similar to each other in terms of their skeletal anatomy. But I just wish that they kind of gave the Gorgosaurus different colors, something that helped it stand aside from Albertosaurus. I mean, I think there are some differences in the model, but nothing that really kind of like stands out, of course. Anyway, it's a great depiction of the animal. And also, this is another big thing with Albertosaurus, and we've seen that with a lot of the other depictions that we've already looked at. There's also the whole talk of group mentality, like group behavior, group life. In this documentary, they are portrayed as living in sort of groups, and while they will often do their own solitary hunting, they do always come back to the same area to kind of just sleep or eat or whatever. Obviously, it's always tricky to say if dinosaurs lived, like how social dinosaurs were. There are some dinosaurs where it's pretty obvious that a lot of it, like they did live at the very least, live in herds, like Maiasaura, because there's like ample evidence for that. In terms of like groups, it does get to be a little bit more tricky. Albertosaurus, I will say, probably does have some of the most convincing evidence in the fact that there is like a group of them buried together, all of different ages, and there's like no other species that are present. So it's difficult to say if that was actually like a flooding that happened, like they just so happened to like it was just a bunch of animals that came together due to a drought or something like that, and then they like flash flooding happened. Uh, like it could have been flooding, but it doesn't seem like they were all brought to the same place for similar circumstances. I'm not saying they were absolutely group hunters. I'm still pretty skeptical overall. But Alice, in terms of like theropods and like especially dromaeosaurs, like compared to those guys, Albertosaurus does have like the best evidence to support it. And obviously that's something that they ran with in this documentary, even so much so that they kind of like tried to explain their small arms, like they use their small arms to, I guess comfort each other, which was certainly an interesting idea for that. I don't know if I've ever heard that idea myself, but it was certainly an interesting idea. Anyway, I all that stuff aside, the group behaviors, like how iffy all of that could potentially be, I loved them here. Their designs look really good. The animations, I think, are pretty solid. And yeah, no, I like them. Oh yeah, and the Albertosaurus that we follow, her name is Rose. There's also a small budget movie called The Jurassic Pet, or the Adventures of the Jurassic Pet. You have Albert here, which is a fitting name for an Albertosaurus. You got the baby one right here that actually looks pretty good. I kind of like it. And then the full-grown one right here that also looks pretty decent. Doesn't have really the eye structures that you would want to see, but all around it looks pretty good. Also looks like it has some osteoderms. Probably did not have osteoderms in life, but the colors are pretty cool as well. We'll go ahead and move on to video games. Now, there's quite a few of them in the Jurassic franchise as per usual, such as in Trespasser, like Jurassic Park Trespasser. Looks pretty good right here, actually. It kind of looks like what you would expect from a Jurassic Park style Albertosaurus. It sort of looks like a T-Rex, but with a smaller skull. So I think that's pretty cool. And the fact that it is distinct from T-Rex, I think is good. Warpath Jurassic Park, it's also, it's a lot more thin. Gracile, that's good. Colors look pretty cool as well. Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder has this one right here. The arms seem to be pretty long, which is very different for Tyrannosaurid portrayals. And the skull kind of does remind me of the Jurassic Park T-Rex skull. It's not too distinct overall. But Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, they did make a distinct Albertosaurus, and I like it. I like how small it is compared to the other Tyrannosaurid in the game. It's very distinct, and it looks like it does fill a different niche. And yeah, they're pretty loud as well. They're loud fellas. Jurassic Park Explorer, this is pretty much just the Jurassic Park T-Rex, but with a different coat of paint. Jurassic Park Builder, it's interesting. I'll tell you that for free. It's got like a really flat snout, almost kind of looks like a platypus, if you ask me. And the body is certainly really interesting. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. It's a funny little design. Okay, now we have Jurassic World Evolution 2. Here's what this son of a gun looks like, and it's pretty good. It's very distinct from pretty much every other Tyrannosaurid in the game, which I think is pretty cool. The skull shape looks like it looks pretty good. Actually, yeah, the snout looks pretty spot on. They really emphasized the like the lacrimal structure, like right up there, right there, where it like kind of, where it kind of like points where there's like the sharp bit, that would be like the lacrimal crest right there. But they have like it connected with the rest of the like eyebrow ridge and like those antorbital horns and things like that, which is an interesting way to do it, but it's still cool that it's there. And like, especially if you looked at the silhouette, it definitely does look like an Albertosaurus silhouette. Hands are facing the proper way too, which is cool. And it's like the correct orientation of the fingers. The small finger is on top and the larger finger is on bottom, which is really cool. They're very good designs, really. And I like a lot of the patterns you can give them. Overall, they're decently thin compared to other Tyrannosaurs in the game. So I think that Frontier did a good job at translating them onto the monitors to those screens. Look at it. Look at me. Look at it stare at me. Isn't that cool? But yeah, that's the Jurassic World Evolution 2 Albertosaurus. I do like it. I think they did good. They did very good. In Jurassic World Alive, you have this one right here that the skull might be a little bit too bulky, but it does have those crests, and the rest of the body looks pretty decent. And again, it kind of looks like what you'd expect from a Jurassic Park / World version of the animal. A lot of the same things can be said for Jurassic World, the game. Moving on from the Jurassic franchise, we do have the Isle, and Legacy looks great right here. I have this image right here with some blue coloration. That looks gorgeous. This looks just like an Albertosaurus. You know, it's got the proper head shape. It's got the crests that I've talked about to death by this point. Which, by the way, those crests, of course, they likely would have been used as a display structure. That probably goes without saying, but I figured I should probably fill you in case you don't know. And the body looks great. It looks awesome. I assume that this is like the model for Evrima, like for the Isle of Evrima, where it does look a little bit different. It is a little bit more bulky, especially in the throat, and it kind of seems like those crests are a little bit sharper and point forward a little bit more. Regardless, it does look pretty cool. Dino Hunter Deadly Shores, which is a game that I haven't looked into in forever. I actually did used to play it a little bit. Never really got into it too much, but I did play it. Its Albertosaurus looks pretty good as well. It's pretty thin. Snout looks all right. Crests are present, and the colors look pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Fossil Fighters, they really, really emphasize those horns on this one. Like, son of a gun. That's crazy. And then in additional creatures for Ark, which of course is a mod, you have this one right here that just looks beautiful. It even has lips. I love seeing theropods with lips. The crests look great, and the slim body also looks fantastic. And yeah, there we have it. Those are some of the biggest appearances of Albertosaurus in media, mostly in video games and shows. Some pretty good ones here. Like there are quite a few of them here that I do genuinely like. I like them. A lot of them do capture Albertosaurus pretty well. I especially love the ones that make them distinct from other Tyrannosaurids, because of course Albertosaurines, which is what Albertosaurus, you know, they're a lot more slender compared to the Tyrannosaurines, which are usually a little bit more bulky and obviously fill a different niche entirely. So most of these I thought looked really good. There was a lot of really good portrayals here. And yeah, you know, I'm excited to see what we do next time. But if you like dinosaur-related content and you liked this video, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you on board. Thank you so much to all my patrons and my channel members. You guys are all helping me out tremendously, and I really do appreciate you. If you want to help support me, the links for those are down below. You do get access to some pretty cool perks. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.